Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Partnership Guys podcast. We are at season 2, episode 4, and just want to thank everybody for coming on, listening, giving us some great feedback. I'm really excited to be talking about such an important topic of business partnerships. Today on episode 4, we'll be talking about the cost of going solo, what entrepreneurs lose without a partner. And for me, always, the things that I've done in my life in business has always been with the help of a great partner or partners like what we have here. So entrepreneurs, often feel like doing it alone gives them freedom and control, but doing it alone creates so many limits that most founders and most solo entrepreneurs don't see, and then most partnerships don't see until much later, and it's too late. And it's the little things we always talk about that build and build and build. And when you have a great partner, there's just so many things that can come from it. So Todd and Steven, welcome. I know you guys have had such an amazing partnership for so long, and I just love listening to you guys talk to each other, tell your stories, and I know this one hits home for you. We always talk about what it would be, what those ups and downs of being an entrepreneur would look like if you didn't have each other, if you did do it alone.
We all know plenty of entrepreneurs, and there's that general understanding that an entrepreneur is somebody that goes it alone. I'm going to build this. I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to succeed. But that kind of lone wolf mentality is a complete myth. It's powerful, but it's a complete myth, and it's rarely sustainable. It's the rare entrepreneur that can do that successfully. Entrepreneur really kind of celebrates independence, right? It's like I'm out there doing my own thing, and I don't want anybody out there to slow me down. I don't want anybody to get in my way. And I understand that, and I appreciate that, but it's not really the best way, in our experience, to build a business and to get that, that confidence and that self-esteem that you get from having a great partner.
Yeah, entrepreneurship celebrates independence. We all heard about solopreneurs and how much they love it, but control, it just feels safer than collaboration for a lot of people. And when control feels safe, it does until it becomes exhausting. It really gives you a huge head start when you have a successful, productive partnership. You can accelerate at levels way past just adding one more person. It is more exponential than it is additive. So, we always say 1 + 1 = 5, because 1 = 1. And we recognize that is not necessarily the right fit for everybody. But everyone thinks of an entrepreneur's complete independence. And there's been millions of successful partnerships, and certainly big ones that of. Think Bill Gates, Steve Jobs, and Wozniak, and those types of guys, Ben and Jerry. And you'll see that these guys really grew because they were in the partnership, not in spite of it.
Yeah. So I'd love to hear also from you guys about how we're all different. We all have different personalities. We all have different ways we handle things. A lot of what we do day to day, big picture in general, a lot of what we do, there's no right or wrong. There's no black and white. There is a gray area of how you proceed in a lot of different ways with a lot of different things. And like I said, we are all different. So whether it's sales and proceeding in a certain way, you might have had a certain opinion of how to go forward, Todd, and Steven's, yours might have been very different. But one of the things I love hearing you talk about is how you navigate supporting a different path than what you're used to.
Well, one person can only see the business from one perspective, right? When it's really, and you miss your blind spots or the things that you just don't want to deal with. So the true benefit has been having somebody else's perspective on this, because there's things I absolutely miss that I'm not strong on, that Steven is strong on, or you're strong on. I need these other perspectives to have the success that I want to have.
It's that Johari's window concept, right? Like, I can see my blind spots, but somebody else can see blind spots that I don't even see. And so, being able to have that partner As a solo entrepreneur, you don't have the ability to really expand your thinking in a way that a partner can help you do that, right? Because I can't see what I can't see. And so, we've said this before is that, like Todd was saying, one entrepreneur has one perspective, but when you have partners, you start to have conversations, and that really starts to, to your point, Rob, expand and understand how to best attack the problems that you're having in the business, or how to address opportunities in the business, and being able to have those conversations with somebody else that you can't as an individual entrepreneur produces better ideas. It produces better opportunities. It allows you to really take advantage of those things. And it's not to say that as a solo entrepreneur, you can't be successful. You can. We know plenty of people that are. But at the end of the day, you're only talking to yourself. Right. And it's a totally different experience.
You're only talking to yourself, and you're only experiencing everything yourself. You're only seeing it yourself. You're judging everything and thinking about everything through your own lens, your own experiences, and to be able to share that with a great business partner like what, the three of us are doing and building, and the conversations we're having and helping people and exploring ways for those individuals together to thrive in their partnership is essential.
A true benefit with me being in my partnerships is that my assumptions get challenged by you guys, and that's what forces me to expand my thinking, my tact, because when I've done some stuff alone, and when you do it alone, you're just dealing with an echo chamber. If you have employees, they're typically yesing you, so you don't get a good challenge from them, because you're the boss, and you know best. So partnership really helps kind of bring you down to a very human level, and allows you to look at things in ways that you probably wouldn't otherwise. And disagreements absolutely help produce better ideas. I'm not saying fighting, of course, but disagreement, counter assumption really does help in fixing your
it uncovers disagreements, uncover blind spots.
Yeah.
That's the thing you can't do as a solo entrepreneur, is really understand and attack your blind spots. But a partner can help you do that.
One partner has a perspective, and two partners have a conversation.
Yep. No, that's great. So how, when one of you handles something we talk about decision domains, that is in your decision domain, and the other has a different perspective of how to do things, and because that decision domain is carved out well for your partnership, the other person decides to do something, but it turns out that wasn't the right thing to do, that you had the right way. How do you handle that? How do you get through the frustration of thinking, if we went with my way, it would have worked, and I thought I made that clear that I thought we should have gone that way?
And the way that we've always handled it is to make sure that we work on that trust and respect before we ever get to a situation where somebody screwed up or did something they weren't supposed to do or something like that. If we're in a good headspace of, trying to understand why somebody did that, trying to understand, what their motivation was towards doing that, it makes it a lot easier to have a disagreement that really is more of a conversation, right? Like Todd and I have been partners for a long, long time, and we have made a lot of mistakes, but I can tell you we have never made the same mistake twice. And that's because we talk about issues when they come up. We talk about bad decisions when they happen. And really the first thing to do is to make sure that you're working on the partnership and not just working on the business. Because if we haven't built up that trust and respect, that would have destroyed the partnership, which would ultimately have destroyed the business.
And I think in the end, for me, the great partnerships I've had has been when those situations happen where, maybe I was right in the end and we went a different path and it didn't work out, that the trust and respect leads to only wanting to pick the other person up and say, it's okay, we were just like a lot of things we do. You were just taking the information and putting your best foot forward, and how can I support you in the next decision and turning this around and making it right. And for me, with my neighbor in that 10-year lawsuit, it was the opposite. It was each of us looking for how the other one messed up, and almost hoping that the other one would mess up to be able to use that as in you're messing up too. And I didn't even see it until it was too late, because it started with little things that were there. And, when I really saw what it actually was, it was too late. And so, if you could talk about when it gets tough, when it gets really tough, and how you handle that, and how you pick each other up, as opposed to what seems inherent in certain things when it gets difficult is to blame and point the finger. And that seems to be what feels good, is how you see the other side of it as, hey, I know he had the right thing in mind, and let me pick him up.
Yeah. So I had previous partnerships, and that's exactly where that went. It went right to finger pointing. You did this, you didn't do that, you didn't listen to me. And it was not having the decision domains kind of set up, but really it was more about not losing that trust and respect, right? Stephen and I have, over the last 25 plus years, started to remove who takes the blame, who takes the hit, right? I might be making a final decision, and if it's successful, we both get the win. I might be making the final decision, and it's not a great decision, or it's just, there's probably a better one to make, and we share that as well, because it's inevitable. If you're not trying and you're not making mistakes, I don't think you're trying enough, to be honest with you. So we worked very hard to eliminate that from how we operate. And once the decision's made, and don't get me wrong, so just because it's my decision to make, I'm the one accountable for it. I can make the final call. I absolutely take feedback from you guys with anything. That's the perspective. I need those perspectives. I want to make the decision based on all of our perspectives, not this is what I want to do. So I think it's absolutely critical to have a partner in making the best decisions possible. And we're doing tons of that right now. There's things that are in your decision domain, Rob, that you're asking us about, and vice versa. And it's allowing us to excel at a pace much faster than I think we would have. Even with adding a new dynamic, which is a third partner, I think it's not 1 + 1 = 5. It's 1 + 1 + 1 = 50. I mean, it's just amazing how much more you get done with the others.
And that's the point of this conversation, is imagine all of that and all that we're talking about, but it's all yourself. It's all in your own head. You're your own decision domain. Every decision domain is yours. So, Stephen, if you can imagine that, of the things that you're doing, that you're just doing it all on your own, without the support of, Todd in your business for so long. And, like Todd said, the three of us in this business, how would that all be different if it was all you, all in your head, doing everything?
It would be exhausting. And we've had situations over the years, and we talk about it in the book a little bit, where Todd was out for like 4 months at one point and wasn't in the business at all. Couldn't be. And it was exhausting. I was making every decision. I made good decisions. I made not so good decisions, but I really missed having that sounding board, having that support of having a strong partner. And it gets difficult to be able to do everything on your own. We all know that stuff gets dropped, right? But when you've got a partnership, if one of us is struggling with something, or one of us has something happen in their personal lives that makes it difficult to get the work done, the other partner is there to step up. And, the three of us have done it many times for each other. And it's, you were talking before about when things get difficult, how do you handle that? I hate to keep saying it, but it all comes down to mindset, right? It's understanding where your ego is and recognizing that if your partner does something that is challenging or makes a bad decision, if you're coming into that with, steam coming out of your ears and angry about it, you're never going to get that resolved. Right. And so it's almost a situation where you just need to work on your mindset before anything happens. As a solo entrepreneur, you don't even have that sounding board. You don't even have that opportunity. If you screw something up, you got to fix it on your own. And that's a lonely place to be. And so by having a partner, you've got more perspective. You've got somebody that can see your blind spots. You got somebody there that can support you. And those three things are immeasurable.
It's almost like going shopping. I'm not a shopper, but I know, Todd, you are. Going shopping, if you have somebody else with you that, you can show what it's just much easier. You look at yourself in the mirror and you think a certain thing, and having somebody else just makes everything. And then having two people, it's amazing.
A great analogy. Honestly, that's a great analogy as far as besides the crowd, like, I look great. I'd be like, what? What are you thinking?
Well, you would say that
like
anyway, but
it's like you've never worn that color in your life. You look ridiculous.
so we all do things that we do by ourselves and decisions and making decisions. And in the end, if it's the wrong decision, did I do something wrong? And was I thinking the wrong way? Was I doing something wrong? Should I think differently? And to have that sounding board, especially in a business, it's just, like I said, everything I've ever done well in business has been with the help and support of amazing partners.
And think about when you are successful, right? If you're a solo entrepreneur and you have a big win, you're in your office and you're like, yeah. But if you've got a partner, it's so much more enjoyable. It's so much more rewarding to be able to share that win, right? That you did it together. Think about stuff like that in your personal life, right? If you go, I don't know, think of like doing what are those races with the obstacles?
Spartan
Tough
races?
Mudder?
Like a tough mudder. Think about doing, like, I did a Tough Mudder a bunch of years ago, and it was a lot of fun, but I have to tell you, I did it with a friend and it was even better, right? We went through all the obstacles together. We got over and through all the obstacles. Well, we didn't do them all because we weren't that good, but the point is that we did it in a way that allowed us to share the fact that we did it together. Going and doing a Tough Mudder by yourself isn't as fun.
Yeah.
So we have a friend who just completed a 100-mile ultra marathon. And if you ask him about the experience, it's all about the people he celebrated with and went through the journey with. Just at the race, strangers for the most part. They weren't strangers afterwards, but it's really about, being able to walk side by side with somebody who understands what you've gone through and what you're going through. And what a huge win it is to have some of the successes that you have and not feel like you're boasting or bragging or just talking to people that just don't care.
Yeah. So it's just a great conversation. And I think we're all on the same page that whether it's the downs, the ups, the middle, the just regular decisions, it's just always better to do it with somebody else. It's in every way. It's, whether you go through getting kicked and have to get back up, it's just much easier to have somebody else pulling you back up and celebrating. Yeah, it's just so much fun to do it, with other people.
And really, the right partner doesn't take away your freedom; they expand what's possible. It's just
absolutely in every way. So this was great. I appreciate everybody listening again. It's great talk, Todd and Steven. Love these talks.
Thank you, Rob.
I love how we're supporting people in all the right ways, and appreciate everybody for listening. Much more coming, and we will see everybody soon.
All right. Find us at thepartnershipguys.com, on YouTube, Apple Podcast, and Spotify.
Thanks, guys.
That too.
Good talking to you.
Yep, you too.
Thanks.
Good job.
Bye-bye.